What is life love? We have a problem.
Yeah, because I can't hear him.
Okay, let's see what we can do.
You can't hear me?
I can on the computer, but not on the board.
Okay.
The computer's not loud enough for me to hear you voting and stuff.
Okay.
See system?
Let's try that. You're gonna have to get, give the Getty.
Testing. Testing.
Yes. Yeah, got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just playing with him. The wife was asking me why I'm yelling down here.
I hear voices. Okay, welcome.
She's making sure I haven't had a heart attack yet.
At 6:05, we'll call the meeting to order. We will start with Pledge of Allegiance. If you don't mind standing.
Forgive me for not standing.
I pledge allegiance to
The flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice and liberty for all.
I know. Next word, we'll do an introduction of guests. So if you want to start here and work our way around the room, let us know who you are and where you're great. Nice. Okay.
I'm Megan and I'm so I'm working on some flavor.
My name is Ewan Falkland. Yeah, and Liam's my brother. Francesca, their mom.
And I'm Ewan's brother.
I'm Will, and I'm William's father.
I'm Lacey, William's mom.
I'm Brooke, William's grandfather.
I'm Michelle, Williams' grandma.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shayla Landon.
I'm Jason, Landon's dad. Praise the Lord.
I'm Shelby, I'm Landon's mom. And this is Braden, Landon's brother.
Very cool. Well, welcome, everybody. Very cool. Next week, 2.4 add-ons to the agenda. I don't think we have anything to add, but today before the board meeting, 6.5 was added, which is the local service plan for the ESP. So it'll be the new 6.5 is not on your agenda. Good to great.
Also,
Oh, lucky Simon. Anyway.
yeah, because I'm actually really excited about it.
Okay.
This is our first year in 3 years that our girls have made it through basketball. And I am so excited as somebody that played basketball here and coached basketball here. I'm so excited. But they made it might have been a rough season, but we made it through.
Oh, no.
Just continue work with our maintenance, like ski lookout, sight lines and what they're doing, and they did a ton of work to the playground, with insurance issues in our insurance review. To make sure the playground's safe, and a lot of work done there.
I didn't have a specific one. Usually I think ahead. No, both of the ODE site visits went really well. I couldn't be happier.
Thanks.
Mine's shout out to our special ed program and the people that work in our special ed program. The benefits of students getting targeted interventions from dealing with behavioral hurdles with some of our special needs students to facility and staffing challenges have been monumental, and it changes literally by the minute every day. And our staff, Megan, Kathy, all of our classified folks, Frenchie, everybody that is tied to our special ed program is all pulling in the same direction. And I just think it's an amazing group of people to work with. And we're really fortunate that we have a high functioning staff that's helping support families and kids.
Awesome. Mine was gonna be the girls' basketball team too, Jessica. But it's not having a basketball team for the last 2 years, not completing a full season for 3 years. Friday will be their last game, and fingers crossed they play it and we're good to go. But talking to the girls, talking about resiliency and culture change, they knew every game coming in, they're probably not going to win one. But the other day, I mean, their whole goal every game is just to get more points. And when we played Central Christian last week, they got 19 points and I thought they won the lottery.
Yeah.
Like it was 1960 something, it doesn't matter. But they got their 19 points and they were ecstatic about it. So
Mine's basketball too, and I didn't even realize it was basketball until we just kind of were saying it was kind of. So I been doing a lot of driving the last while. And I keep seeing, well, and today, the one I saw today was this lady's car. It says proud basketball mom. And the stickers, Prospect Charter School, Prospect Cougars. It's like I keep seeing more and more. And it's just cool to see. You never used to see that, you know, for anything for Prospect, it was all the other schools, but.
Yeah.
And I was in town and it's like, oh,
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
So mine is archery. We had an amazing tournament, first tournament in what month we in January. And it was amazing. I mean, multiple of our kids placed in their divisions. My kid placed third place in her division, which is pretty cool because it's her first time ever playing any kind of sport in her life. So for her to have that kind of accomplishment right off the bat was pretty awesome. And we have our tournament here at Prospect Charter School on the 21st of February, and everyone needs to come to that and support the kids. So pretty awesome.
awesome. Mr. Rose.
Mine is for the Honor Society inductees. Looks like it's the first time we've had this event coming up on March 12th. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. That's pretty awesome. Okay, now to the reason. Oh, Ray. Oh, Mr. Williams, sorry, I forgot about you.
That's all right. Mine is a shout out to all of you folks that are putting Facebook pages up of events at the school, because that keeps me in the loop, even though I can't be up there. I appreciate it. They're nice. I copy a lot of them to my hard drive. And yeah, it's really great watching the kids grow. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, now on to high five. So call out your student. Mr. Rose will give you an award and a piece of candy. Then once we're done, we'll take a picture out in the hallway. So the first one we have in kindergarten is William Hurling. William is one of the hardest working students in my class. His classwork, grades, and test scores show great reading, math, and handwriting. His progress is amazing and should be celebrated.
Good job, buddy.
In second grade, we have Ewan Kirkland.
Yeah, you
Ewan has been working all year at following expectations and has been progressing well. He is a delight to his teachers in class and always tries to keep a positive attitude and seeks to be kind to his classmates.
Good job, man.
In fourth grade, we have Landon Husband. Landon is always kind and on task, and he is doing great in the fourth grade.
Good job, Landon.
And then in fifth grade, we have Simon Hesner. We are pleased to recognize Simon for his notable academic growth he has demonstrated over the last 2 weeks. He has shown increased accountability for his learning and has approached his academics responsibilities with a renewed sense of purpose and maturity. Simon's dedication to continuous improvement is commendable, and his recent progress reflects a strong commitment to academic excellence. And we have conversations that will not be here this evening, so we will hold them on until next month. So students, if you want to grab another piece of candy, we'll go outside and take a picture.
Yeah.
Stand by for a second. Everybody. Go. You wanna come take a picture?
I like the name.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You got all of your. All of your, all like this.
Ray, I emailed at the last minute the attendance posters. I'm gonna share it today. So if you have access to your email, you can look at them.
Okay,
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
You're really welcome to hang out. We're gonna get to one lead, like, feel free to.
On that.
Oh, man, the Emerald Church Mouse. I didn't even hear see you come in.
I looked at pretty clean.
She told me. Not really, I told her.
you guys are lucky I don't show up. There's not enough table space.
That's because I knew you weren't coming.
Good organization, Jessica. Good job.
Okay, moving on to 2.7 teacher input. You have it?
Can I do my secret renaissance report?
Yeah, we can do it now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I do need to steal the screen up there, so, right,
Yeah, go for it.
and I'm not sure how to show Ray. Thing.
It worked the last time.
So can you share, because no, you would have to be logged into the laptop.
Yeah, that would be like
Okay.
a lot to get to there.
Is it still gonna record?
Okay.
He's,
I don't know what's happening.
is he still on that?
He's on the screen.
Okay, so yes, it is.
Yeah.
He should be here. Yeah,
Okay, and it's still recording.
just as long as I'm recording for the. Maybe home. Okay, there we go. Their board is different from mine, that's not what I want.
If you go to- go to
the apps, you can go to the screen share.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to find, right? The
Yeah.
screen share, yeah, so go to the
Oh,
app.
those apps, there
There
we
you
go.
go.
So I'll start before Christy dives into this and just share a little bit about in the superintendent evaluation packet, there were some reports from STAR, from Renaissance. One was a STAR Reading Enterprise report, one was a STAR Early Literacy, and one was the STAR Math Enterprise report. And it showed illustrated some growth across the board, using the diagnostic software that we are working with Renaissance on. And one of the cool things about Renaissance is it's got K-12 evaluation and screening capabilities for all kids in math and reading K-12, which is one of the only ones that have that capability. So that we have some vertical alignment to what we're doing. So that when we measure a kid from 4th grade to 5th grade, we know that it's in succession of the standards set by the state. One of the other things too about Renaissance that's really cool is Renaissance is a giant company and they have thousands and thousands of school districts that are using their software. And so we can compare our kids to other kids nationally and in the state with growth and the growth model that Renaissance presents. So, which is really helpful, and Christy can speak to that more than I can, but it's pretty exciting to have this diagnostic tool that we can use with all of our kids.
Sorry. All right, so. Take a moment, to load.
we just finished our winter benchmarks and, I'm cool to see progress when, since we've got our fall and now our winter.
So is this just for homeschool or is this?
No,
Homeschool.
this is
Homeschool.
homeschool, yeah.
Cool.
Homeschool uses a little bit, not everybody does it. So our first one, we have a lot of, actually, let me grab my mouse because we're driving me crazy here. We have a lot of reports in this. I'm not gonna show all of them because it gets down into student data. Okay, this is actually looking at it from a teacher perspective. You can kind of see all of the wonderful reports that we do.
That's a lot of reports.
It is a lot, and it's easy to lose reports. Go, there was one that did, but you know, as you use it more and more, you learn it, so that's pretty nice. So this one here is what I'm gonna show you tonight. Called the growth proficiency report. We'll start with math. Math has all grades K through 12. So if I update the report, takes a moment to generate. And what this is showing is growth and achievement all in the same thing. So you've got growth reaching out this way. And you can see the median is right there in the center. So you really want to be on that side of that line. And then you've got the achievement. And they're hoping for, at this point, 40% or above. Which sounds low, but you're above 40% of everybody in the United States. That's your age level kind of thing. So that's pretty good. And so really what you want is to have kids right up in here, which is where we're moving. Kind of cool. And these are not individual kids, these are classes. That's why I can show it to you guys all in a regular meeting. But like language art, that I don't know why language arts is in math. It shouldn't be. This should be a math one. Oh, that's interesting.
I wonder if it's the light blue.
No, light blue has to do with how many kids are in there.
Oh.
It's a word problem.
Like 79% proficiency, growth of 52, student growth, something.
And that's
Percentile.
algebra 2, it looks like maybe.
Algebra 1.
Different, algebra 1, okay,
Yeah.
that'd be freshman.
Yep,
Yeah.
14 students in that class. Unfortunately, this little thing does not like to go away. So it's really hard to find the ones underneath and you kind of have to keep moving it to see if you can get it to come off of there. So that's math and a few reading ones and mixed in there.
So that's algebra 2, why is there 5 kids in that?
Because there's different classes of it.
It's
Oh,
each
gotcha.
class period, I think.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
And that median line, the thing that's cool about that is that's based on a national norm for those for all those kids. And so if you're to the right, you're better than the national norm. If you're to the left, you're below, based on the screening report. And you can, of course, drill this down to every individual kid.
Yeah, I could just select one grade and look at the students within that grade. Reading is broken into two different looks here. So we're gonna start with Star Early Literacy. I don't know why my mouse is doing that. Oh, there's a bug. That's why we're having issues with these boards. Whenever you have a bug flying around, it touches the board.
Fix it up.
Yeah, fix it up.
Crazy.
So Start Early Literacy is grades K through 2. So you're not gonna see as many circles. Matter of fact, there's 3. Wow. Yeah. Pretty awesome.
There's some good stuff happening in our elementary friends.
Yeah, and second grade might look a little scary. They're the ones down here. However, what you have to remember with second grade is they're at the breaking point with, going between start early literacy and start reading. And so at this point in the year, those students who have a few more gaps in their learning, are going to see the start early literacy. So they're probably going to be at their bubble might be a little bit lower. But you can see that their progress is above the 50th percentile, which is pretty cool.
So is that saying they're 75% proficient, but compared nationally, they're right around that 50% mark?
No, that's saying 75% proficient, which is compared nationally, and their growth is right around the 50th percentile or 50th percent mark as far as they've grown.
Where they've been?
Yes,
where they're at. Okay.
yeah, compared to other people their age growing.
Oh,
So,
With growth.
and then the other test that is given for, definitely for kids 3 through 12, and then some of the second graders, the system bumps them up into the STAR reading when they're ready for it. Is this one here, and so you're not gonna have the kindergarten, first grade in there and part of the second graders. And once again, you really want them to be.
Look at some of that. That's pretty
in this
big.
area.
Huge growth.
Huge growth. And I'm telling you, the effort that is being made with aligning all of our resources with our curriculum from class to class is having a huge difference. And our interventions with the MTSS process and what we're doing with special ed is having an impact.
Yeah, we had kids from the special ed department take the test that had never taken it before, and it's because of Megan's dedication. Like
Yep.
making sure that those kids are able to do that. And then I'm gonna move back. This is
Are kids able to opt out of this test? Or this is just a standard assessment, right?
it's a
Yeah,
standard
it's a-
assessment. Some kids are just not able to say.
They don't have the ability.
Take the
Gotcha,
test.
okay.
Yeah. And then another one we're gonna look at is monitor student mastery dashboard. I love this one here. You can dial this down to individual kids, and this would be really helpful for standard-based grading. So for example, we have first grade pulled up here, and this is the entire class. And so they're looking at phonological awareness. They're 63% complete with their knowledge in that area. Phonics and word recognition, they're 50%. Pretty good. And it goes down through all of the domains, all of the strands. And you can dial in and see a little more detail if you want. You can look at each standard and see where the class is. There's another one that you can select each student, or actually on this one, you can select each student, and so you can see exactly what each student needs to work on.
By subject area?
Yeah.
By standard.
By standard. Yeah, so for example, in this one here, like at first grade, they're still learning to read. You know, as they get older, they begin to read to learn. So key ideas and details is going to be low for first grade, because they're really working back on kind of stuff. They still need to get distinguishing long from short vowel sounds, which is about what they're doing right now. So. Questions there? And I could go through, I mean, we could go class after class and reading, math, early literacy, everything, but.
I think.
How long have we used Renaissance for?
Well, we used it for years and then we stopped using it for a while. And then this year, this year's our first year back.
So does this data, will it catch what were our historical trends like next year? Or is it just really nationwide based in?
Right now, we're doing nationwide. Yeah, next year it'll be nice because we can compare.
Okay, so we will have the ability to
Yes.
compare. Nice, cool. It's a lot of data to have.
There's a ton of data for sure. Shout out to Christy because she's mastered this stuff and she's helping with educating our teachers on how to use it and how we're analyzing data on a different level than what we have in the past. I think, and Christy, if I step out of line here, just say so, but I think overall, if I was to assess, to go back to the idea of the state of our school, if I was able to assess where we're at academically, we're way better than we were a couple years ago. There's a ton of success that's happening with growth. We still have kids that are below the state average or the state standard, state benchmarks for certain things with reading and math, especially math, less so in reading, because we've had such a strong focus on literacy and teaching literacy. But getting curriculum and aligning our practices and going through the PD that we've been through has really helped. And I think overall, there's a ton of growth that's showing up here, and it's starting to show up in other areas too, with state reports and those kinds of things. So it's an effort of our staff to. I'm really proud of some of the gains that we've gotten. So
It was pretty exciting during this benchmarking period to see the lack of red on our reports.
Yep.
So, I mean, every time I pull another one up, I was like, and I was doing something.
yeah. And one of the things that was really kind of cool is we're starting to change the culture with our kids. Like, hey, testing and assessment's important. And a kid takes a test and they struggle with it and they're not happy with their score. We have kids that are asking teachers, can I take that again?
Yeah.
I want to take it again. I need to do better than that. And that's never happened here since I've been here. And it's happening frequently with a lot of our students now.
Yeah, they're like, I know I can do better than that.
Yep.
I need to try again. Okay.
That's good, because then they build their own competitive spirit. into
Yep.
that, so that's good.
Yep.
Will this program be used to track like what the fourth grade today is versus where they're at in fifth grade? And
Yep.
overall growth of that student?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And because it's such a large national database, we'll be able to compare growth, compare benchmark stuff with our kids, with other kids around the country, which is really cool.
I think that's good, because sometimes you get bogged down the data of where we're at
Yeah.
versus, hey, look at the big picture of where
Yeah.
we're at and where we're going. I think that's.
And Josh, my aunt works in school in town. And I listened to her stories. And then, I tell her about things they're going, she's like, how do they even do that? You know, I was, because it's crazy down there. They're just like monkeys in the zoo. And they're not learning anything. They can't.
Well, I think it's easy to say, it's just prospect. Just prospect.
It is.
That is like, yeah, okay, but look, historically, can we pare this down to Oregon schools? To have it compare Oregon wide?
It will compare. I mean, Oregon's, or all the Oregon schools that are part of it are part of the whole national thing.
I know if we could break it down to nationally, we're at 40%, but in Oregon, we're at 70% or that type of.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be cool though.
I think
What is
at this point, I'm just gonna say this, and everybody wants to know where you line with the standards compared to the state average, and everybody uses state average. I think it's important to look at like-sized schools and what like-sized schools are doing with academic achievement. So you compare oranges to oranges. I think it's easy to get outside of that box, but the big thing for us right now is we're creating this culture of learning that hasn't been here with consistency. And that culture of learning, that's why kids are requesting to take tests over again. That's why that they're motivated to do well when you put this assessment in front of them, after learning for 9 weeks or 18 weeks. And so to build off of that, we're really focusing on growth to try to outperform kid peers across the country with growth, because we know that our kids are growing at a much greater rate overall than a lot of other kids are. And that's something that really keeps kids motivated. And so, yeah, we look at the standard stuff, but as far as school-based goals and those kinds of things, we're really focused on student growth, of where kids started and then where they ended. And then how are we closing that achievement gap between where they end and what the state average is, or what like size schools average is. Because you still have to look at that, but our focus with kids is straight growth. So
I like that I can individualize the education to a degree. And hey, you need a little bit more work here, and you need that, and that's gonna help here.
You totally can, and you can actually, it has resources on there that you can tie into exactly what the kid needs. However, some of those resources are like,
Much to be desired.
yeah, like there's like books that are from the 1920s that are like, I don't know any third graders who want to read this. And then what would they get really from it? I mean, I think we've got better resources.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will do that. You can use it to plan your instruction, that kind of stuff. But we also have other tools for that too.
Oh, very cool.
it's a great platform.
It really is. It's amazing.
Yeah, awesome.
Any-
With the new, requirements the state has.
Yeah, so Renaissance is one of the interim assessments that you probably have read with OSBA. They chose 6 different assessments that districts have to adopt. Luckily, Renaissance was on the list, so we didn't have to redo anything. So our local performance assessments will be measured using Renaissance and pulling Renaissance data, which is awesome that we didn't have to change the professional development that's been put into it, the expense of it. There's some districts across the state that don't have anything on the list. And that's a huge change and a huge lift for a lot of districts because there's professional development that has to happen. There's an expense. Some of those school districts might be under contract with other software companies. It's a nightmare for a few districts around the state. So we're lucky because we chose well when we chose Renaissance.
Well, thank you for putting in the work, because it seems like you definitely get lost in here, so well done.
Oh, I mean, like I said, we did it before, so I had a lot of years of experience. Of course, it's been updated since the last time I've used it, but, yeah, I mean, even with all that, I still get lost in it. It's like, I know it's in I can't remember what the name of the report was. Hang on, let me click a little bit.
Are the teachers finding it helpful?
Oh, yeah.
On how to work with this? Very cool.
Especially the standards part. Yeah, amazing.
Nice. Any other questions or anything else to show us?
No, but I think I'm staying because
Yeah, I roped her into also showing because I don't have, the attendance posters are always hard to read from a distance. And so I'm gonna have to project the PDFs on the screen.
You want to jump into that now? Or I don't know if you're planning to stay in the whole meeting, if you want to.
I would really love to go.
Yeah, so if you want to jump ahead.
And you guys have the attendance posters in your
They do.
file.
Oh,
I gave it to them.
emailed them, well, I emailed them this afternoon as well, so.
And they're in the superintendent's
It's not
evaluation.
essential.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where I saw.
We'll put
No.
it way back up there.
The thing that he said
Yeah,
about.
Yeah, the artifact stuff.
Yeah, the artifact stuff that's in there.
Thank you, Miss Bliss. It's awesome.
Thanks, Christine.
Jen's back in January as well, right? Okay.
Community input, anything for the community? School should know. Okay, consent motions 3.1 and 3.2. There are some. Decision box. So we have just the minutes.
I read and approved the minutes.
Okay, so there's a motion
did.
to approve 3.1. Second.
Second.
By
We
Simon.
got one.
Okay, any edits or corrections? And we'll start with Mr. Rose. Yes. Ms. Williams.
Yes,
Mr. Williams.
yes.
Awesome.
Too many Williams here.
Hey.
Okay. And then with no 3.2, we'll move on to 4.1, superintendent elementary.
Okay, kind of just want to give you an update on a few things.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Christine. Sent you an email with the OSBA. I don't know if all of you guys are registered with the OSBA legislative updates, if you track that, but I sent you an email with a link today in case you weren't connected to that. That's a really great resource. As they're in the middle of a short session right now, and they have legislative updates that come out daily that they'll email out to you. So all you have to do is register with them. There's two kind of hot buttons right now in the state around things that are being introduced as bills. The governor really would like to cut FFA and the FFA funding statewide, which would take a significant chunk of high school success dollars, from what I understand, is how that they would pull that back and cut it. She's tried to do it through an executive order, and that she's finding out that it's going to have to go through the legislative process, but it's one of her priorities for cutting some money out of the budget. The other one is mandating school districts that are in the middle of negotiations to include class size mandates for all classes. So, and those class sizes are numerically numbered, so you can't have more than 22 or 24 kids in first grade, or say in high school, you can't have a high school class bigger than 30, or those kinds of things. In some of the larger districts, there's a ton of pushback on that. And if we were in a situation where class size was a problem, we would push back on it as well. But there's money tied to that, of course, and districts having the freedom to be able to, if they need to put 40 kids in a PE class and they can only limit it to 30, it costs more money because you got to have staffing and more sections. So those are a couple of hot button items. I'll talk a little bit about money a little later in the other report down on the integrated or the comprehensive plan report. I'll talk a little bit more about the money end of things. That the state came out last week, I think. Yeah, it was last week, with an economic forecast that wasn't as bad as what they thought it was going to be. They were talking about a $600 to $800 million shortfall in the state budget, and because we have a zero base, we can't run in a deficit because we have a balanced budget amendment as a state. They have to keep somewhere around 340 to 350 million in the coffers to run the government in case something comes up. So to cut 600 to 800 million as a shortfall out and leave 340 million, the numbers don't add up too well without taking some pretty significant cuts out of programs. SNAP benefits are one of the big ones. Some of the social programs around homelessness and hunger and some of those things are taking a big deal. In the state school fund, think about it in terms of this: for every 1% reduction in the state school fund would be approximately $100 million. So for a 1% reduction, so it's a significant amount of money. But if they cut 600 to 800 potentially, and 60% of that is the state school fund, or approximately, it's a significant amount of money that could end up being a problem. In the state education stability fund, the last time that was used was in 2009. And in the 2025-27 biennium, there's $1 billion in the education stability fund. So legislators are going to have to take a long look once they figure out how much they're going to have to cut, to see, hey, if we tap into this, how much do we need to pull out to districts afloat through the biennium. So wanted to share with you that we're starting the budget process. Zero-based budgeting that I talked about earlier is starting. Sherry is ahead of the curve with that every year before the budget cycle starts, and we'll be rolling out budget requests processes to staff shortly. The calendars, we have 2 drafts put together. Shout out to Miss Scriven. She put together a post Labor Day and a pre-Labor Day calendar draft, and we've gone through it and took a look at it to see if there were any mistakes, and there may still be some mistakes. That's why lots of eyes are gonna be on it, but after kind of getting feedback from you guys, felt like you guys wanted us to take it to staff first, so we are gonna throw it out to staff this week, and then next month we will bring it to you, and it'll be part of the board packet to vote on. That's it with the calendars. This time of year, I always like to go a couple of different places and see what other school districts are doing, and garner some ideas from other people and bring them back to us. And so I've got 2 trips that are planned this spring. One to Yamhill Carlton. The superintendent up there is a really good friend of mine, and they are a CTE, really heavily involved in CTE leadership across the state and with their programs of study. And Clint and his team, and Tanner, their high school principal, is amazing administrator I worked with in Three Rivers, and they're doing some amazing stuff there. So there's a team of people from Southern Oregon that are going up there, and I'm jumping on it and I'm going with them. And then also I'm going to take a trip to Crane, way over in Hardy County. And Crane is an interesting place. It's in Hardy County outside of Burns. And Eric, their principal there, or their superintendent, is a forward-thinking guy that has students that like CTE, and they've kept their school alive by having programs of study. And they're the only other 1A school in the state that has 4 programs of study. Like, we have 4 budding programs. We have 1 program, but we have 3 budding programs. And so one of the things that they're doing there that's really unique is they actually have a manufacturing and combination construction program that involves 2 different wood mills. That kids are actually running wood mills, and they're milling wood, mostly juniper, for ranchers and those kinds of things, and it's turned into a cash cow for their community and their program, selling all kinds of different things from their wood mills that they have. So it's going to be fun to go and check out those 2 places. Last week I sent a sick letter. I forwarded that to you, an email, so you knew what I was communicating to our parents. We had some parents that were concerned about sending their kid, because we've had some kids that come to school showing symptoms of being sick. They're coughing and hacking, or in a couple of cases, it's even been reported that there have been some kids that have come to school knowing they had a fever. And so trying to square that up and level it up with parents and let them know, hey, look, the standard for the county is this. Influenza A is going around, and if you have symptoms, your kid needs to be symptom-free for 24 hours. And we took a hit. I mean, there was a couple of days there we had 50 to 60 plus kids gone.
My aunt's school was, she said they didn't even have 30 kids, and that way they could clear.
Yeah. Well, Rogue River closed down for a day over it. They closed the doors for a day. And there were some schools in Central Oregon that closed also and deep cleaned. So some of that stuff that's going around is pretty nasty. I got it for a few days and it wasn't very fun. So I wanted you to be aware of how of that again, to just highlight that. And then the last thing that I wanted to share with you is culturally, we have some challenges, and I will tell you that the last couple of weeks have been rough, dealing with some of the negative culture around athletics, some of the negative culture around parents of athletes, some of the negative culture around when there's pressure and there's failure. We have a lot of kids that don't manage that very well. They don't manage their emotions very well. That has to be intentionally taught through systematic approach to athletics, and it's directly linked to not having youth programs. And so the conversations behind closed doors have been, look, this has got to change. This cannot continue. Athletics represent a lot more than just the players. They represent the taxpayers of the community. They represent our school. They represent the staff. They represent the kid and their families. And in the moment, students that are participating in athletics don't realize the impact that they have if their behavior is less than. And so Greg and I and Sean are working really hard on that. That's why Greg's not here tonight. He's at a basketball game because I didn't trust some kids on our boys basketball team, whether or not they were going to be a bro grade. We suspended some kids for games. I'm going to the Chillicothe game on Friday, and I can tell you that if behavior is bad, I'll just call the game off in the middle of it. I've had my fill of it, and we've met with the kids, and we're trying to change the trajectory of this. But the reality is it starts with parents, and we got to do a better job of meeting with parents in the preseason and setting clear expectations of what their role is and what kids' roles are in athletics, and do a better job with what we're doing with youth programming, so that there's a systemic way of expectations being embedded from the time that they enter to being an athlete in the 5th grade all the way through high school. And we don't have that structure here right now. And much like our academic programs that we're seeing growth after 4 years, it's because we've put things in place that are moving kids through the system that are aligned, and our athletic programs are not, and they have to, moving forward, they have to be. So
What's happening at the game by the athletes?
ejections, technicals, cursing, not listening to the coach, throwing tantrums on the sidelines. I call it the palms up. Greg calls it that too. Palms out, palms up mentality, body language when there's a call, not understanding that officiating is part of the game, regardless if it goes with you or against you. And controlling the emotionally regulating high energy emotions that happen in an emotional game.
So do these happen in practice too?
Not as bad. There is some competitive times where it does in practice. Justin's done a pretty good job trying to thwart that. I mean, the other night after the game, we had a kid leave the bench and he went running out the front, and Justin went and chased him down, and he was in the car, and everybody else was going to the locker room, and they didn't even meet afterwards after the game. And Justin wasn't going to meet with him until her dad went and got him. And so he ran down his dad and said, "Your son better get in here now or he misses the next game." And dad went out there and got him and brought him in, but he threw a tantrum and made a scene about him being upset about something, and about losing, about failure. And if there's one thing that I've learned through athletics, there's one thing I've learned in life, and it's helped me apply as a dad to my kids and as a school administrator. And it's simple, and it's this: uncoachable kids become unemployable adults. And if they don't take direction and they don't understand the concept of team play and sportsmanship, and their emotions are regulated within the framework of what that looks like and sounds like and feels like, it's a recipe for disaster. And most of our schools that we compete against have youth programs. We don't. And so those youth programs they've got to show up. We've got to build some youth programs.
Youth programs as in
5th and 6th grade basketball, as in 5th and 6th grade volleyball, and as in before middle school. And so that those kids systemically, we have a standard in which we expect, and we're intentional about teaching it to our kids. We're intentional about teaching to our parents that this is your role in athletics. Your role in athletics is not screaming and yelling at the official during the game, and then the whole ride home you're trying to coach your kid either on the court at halftime or after the game in the car on the way home. What you need to do is be a parent and tell your kid you love them, And so we have a protocol behind all of it, but it hasn't been communicated effectively. And so we have some out of control circumstances that I've had to deal with head on. And so we only have 2 games left, 3 games. Administration's going to be there, including me. And we've met with all the kids involved. Body language is such a big deal. We had a kid get a technical because of body language the other night. And the official said, well, I thought he cursed. Well, he probably did, but he wasn't sure that he did, but the body language got the technical, and so those are the kinds of things that kids have to understand. And we don't have a systematic way. I've never seen it anywhere else that I've been. I'll just say that.
Do those same kids have issues in academics?
It's hit and miss. There's some good students there, but I think it parallels itself to some degree. I mean, we have kids that love playing, and their whole purpose for coming to school is to play. So they don't care about academics. They probably could if they wanted. If they did, they'd be good students. But then when there's any kind of pressure or any kind of failure that happens, they just don't deal with failure well. And then it's palms up and they finger point, and then they lash out and they say things that are inappropriate, and they create embarrassing situations that represent our community. And I'm just not going to put up with it any longer. I'm exhausted of it. It's every day, every week, we're dealing with something about attitude with sports here, and it's got to change. So we're going to tackle it systemically and improve it over the long haul. And it's not because we're not. I mean, there's been lots of consequences handed out. It doesn't seem to change their behavior, though.
Is it just a few kids or is it a bunch of them?
Well,
The male population.
yeah, our high school boys, our high school boys team, there's about 6 of them that are,
Oh, wow.
it pollutes, they pollute each other. When one's negative and one lashes out, the next one piles on. And it's because they don't know how to win. They haven't won with consistently,
Right.
even though they might have some skills, and then they get frustrated. And it's no different than a kid that struggles academically because they don't have the skills to be an academic student. They lash out because they're frustrated because they can't read or they can't figure out a math problem. And so then it becomes a behavioral issue. It's the same thing in athletics. And but the way you change it is by building programs that start at the youth level. But that means you got to have resources and people, and you got to create consistency. And you have to have a head coach that is really a head coach and has oversight over youth programming all the way through. And we don't have any of that structure. So that's a big challenge.
Has anybody tried starting the elementary sports program?
Because what's lame there?
That's what I'm getting at, because I drive my kids to Butte Falls twice a week, and we have 40 kids in basketball grades 2nd to 5th.
And who's
And
coaching
they're
it?
Parents,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it takes.
but it's also got to be offered.
Yeah,
It's got to, the idea's got to be presented.
Yeah.
There's also, from what I've seen, a big difference in what I consider a consequence in sports over there versus what I've seen here.
Yeah.
They were told right off the bat, 2nd graders, you talk while coach is talking, you're running.
yeah.
And I get the impression that's not the type of thing you like. That's why I was curious after they was brought
No,
up
that's
last time
not-
about
That's not true at all.
football not running lines and, that kind of stuff.
That's not true at all. I have a different approach to it, but there are consequences to everything. If you can't define purpose, it doesn't matter. So you have to define purpose first. And so, as far as punishment is concerned, there's a difference between consequences and punishment. And so we could talk about that for hours, but the reality is that it has been offered. We've tried to get some parents to step up and help, and they haven't. And part of it
For
needs to
elementary
come.
basketball?
Absolutely. Part of it
This year?
needs to come not from me. it needs to come from our head coach, not this year. We didn't, but how many times have we had conversations about Saturday morning volleyball?
Yeah.
You know, and starting Saturday morning volleyball and basketball too. And we haven't been able to do that. It needs to come from our head coach and not school administration. But we don't have that structure in place. And, you know, the idea that, it takes committed people to do those kinds of things. And, you know, Butte Falls doesn't have any high school programs. None, zero. So where's that been over there? The reality is that they're trying to build it and they're doing a good job trying to build it from the bottom up. And we need to do the same thing here.
Yeah.
And so those are just some of the challenges that exist. So. Yeah, you want to coach basketball?
If I wasn't so broken and could run, not mine, but.
I've got a question about calendars, and I know we talked a little bit about this, but have we explored the possibility of having a Thursday graduation? They came up because when we do 4-H, it's on graduation week. And everybody vacates the barn on Friday because they're going to 5 different graduations. So it leads to believe that schools graduate or have 5-day week, they graduate on Friday. Why don't we graduate on Thursdays? So we're not competitive with anybody else. Your expectation, staff comes to graduation.
Absolutely.
So if we had a Thursday graduation, everybody's already here. And doing, then it's not that extra time commitment on a Friday. Where we're at.
Well, I think there's some things to think about there. I mean, we've had some conversations with our leadership team about this. One of the struggles with wrapping our head around Thursday is it's a school day. And so the amount of effort that it would take to pull that off as far as decorating and stuff, not saying it couldn't happen, but I'm telling you, it would cause a tremendous amount of burden and stress on the staff to pull graduation off on a Thursday night. The other thing, because it's a school day, the other thing is that's a struggle, and other districts do this. I mean, they have graduation in the middle of the week. I get it; they can be pulled off, but the same people are running everything when it comes to setup and stuff. We've done it on Fridays forever. On Friday nights, there is a culture that, hey, if I'm inviting my family from out of town, having it on a Thursday really places it difficult for out of town people because instead of 1 day off of work, now we're looking at probably 2 or maybe 3 days off of work to come from out of town. Whereas Friday, sometimes they can take just Friday, or maybe they have to take Thursday, a half a day or whatever to get here for a Friday night commencement. So, so those are some of the conversations that we've had. I know that there's, conflict with other graduations. There's conflict with the fair, the Jackson County Fair, with the timeline of the goat show and all those kinds of things. I think no matter what you pick, you're going to have some conflict. But I think it makes sense. I mean, I wasn't opposed to moving it to Thursday, but then when we just started kind of brainstorming the reasons why we have kept it on Friday, I think it makes sense to leave it on Friday. But at the end of the day, it's the board's decision on what you want to do there.
What are the kids' last day of the week before still? Or is it the week of?
Say that again.
So the seniors' last day, it's still the week before?
It's the week before.
It's that
Yeah.
Wednesday.
It's the week before.
So I don't know, why wouldn't we have graduation the week that they're done?
Wait, is it the week before? I thought they're done the Wednesday of graduation week.
No, I thought they were always done a week ahead.
Yeah,
They're a week ahead.
Yeah,
week
they're
ahead.
done a week ahead before graduation, so they have a whole week.
Week ahead.
And then they practice and set up their march, their alignment, their presentations, their speeches.
Yeah, it's an academic reason.
That week, it's the academic week,
It's
I
an
remember that,
academic
yeah,
reason.
that, never mind, just scratch that, I forgot they have to have their stuff in by a certain day.
Still, my thought is if 60% of our kids come from down the hill, they have competition to other family and other events and everything else happening down the hill, then it's still pretty big competition wise.
Well, let's talk about that Friday. So what other graduations are there?
Every time,
Every school.
every school in the valley either graduates on the 29th or the 5th. You're not gonna get away from that. Maybe I don't think any school is gonna graduate on the 12th of June. It's gonna be the 5th of June or the 29th of May.
Those are Fridays, right?
Those are both
Med-
Fridays.
Yeah, nobody graduates on Friday in Medford.
Right, so
They
they have
have
them like on a
midweek.
different day, midweek, yeah.
They have
So,
different,
yeah.
and
But some of
Greater
them-
does too,
Some of the private schools have the weekend graduations, the Friday graduations.
Yeah,
And so.
or
yeah.
Saturday,
Or
sometimes
Saturday.
they're
So
Saturday.
regardless, there's going to be
Some
graduation
conflict.
conflicts on both those Fridays
Yeah.
or just that week in general. So. I
Is
don't,
it May 29th?
yeah, the
that
29th
Memorial weekend?
graduation. Actually, it's the weekend after.
Oh.
Memorial Day is the 25th.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know, my thought was a Thursday makes it easier for staff. They're here all day, our staff goes down the hill.
It's not easier.
So,
It would be easier.
They're working.
because they're working, though,
But it
they're
has
here.
to- The last academic day that seniors have to turn in their assignments. So we have to make sure that it works for that day. So whatever that day is.
But so that won't matter though between a Thursday and Friday, because I mean, one day is not gonna throw that off.
Well, mine,
It might,
yeah,
yeah,
mine,
yeah, I think it
It-
depends
If
on.
they have
It
until
depends on
Thursday
the
at 4
kid.
PM,
Yeah.
then.
it might, there's some challenges with that, that puts a crunch on staff or correcting or working with the kid. I'm saying maybe that's one or two kids
Yeah.
or less, and some years it might not be any kids. So, but the academic week, they give them an academic week is traditional from that standpoint.
Well, and
It
we
just
have-
became apparent at fair, because that Friday.
No, it sucks.
But like everybody's.
No, I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
it's hard.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
no
There's
doubt.
different graduations after.
So my question is, if the prospect's going to maintain this whole, go back to school end of August and be done beginning of June, right? We're not gonna go back to the,
Well, hopefully you're gonna vote on that, so.
right, yeah. So cause that's, so then really, I don't think there's any other day. Cause if we were gonna go to the different schedule again and push school out till June, then it wouldn't conflict with as much. But if we're gonna.
Yeah,
maintain-
because we would be in school until the 25th.
Right, but if we maintain what we have currently, there's always those 2 weeks are the prime time for graduations across the valley.
They are.
And we're not gonna it's not gonna be easier on anyone.
Well, that's my question. I mean, if every other school is
Yeah.
doing it based on a 5-day week at the end on a Thursday, on a Friday. and
Not every
four-
other school's doing Friday though. That's what I'm saying.
No, some of them have like a midday, like Wednesdays, it's stupid, and
No, no,
Saturdays.
Tuesdays,
that's what-
Wednesdays,
okay.
Thursday.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
graduate whenever, so now we can just pick a day, because the day doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah,
But in this, like what I'm talking about for fair, if the schools, and I don't know all the schools that are down there, all I know is they kick everybody out of the barn because everybody goes to
yeah,
graduate.
and Goat Fair
that's-
is always gonna be that week.
Yeah, if that's based on a 5-day school week and they graduate on Friday,
Mhm.
then how can we pull off on a 4-day school week graduating on Thursday?
I'm not saying we can't. I'm just saying that it would be difficult.
We did it on a Saturday morning.
They have different staff.
Wait,
No, but I mean.
but so what I hear here, and tell me if I'm missing this. Okay. What I hear is that graduation needs to be moved because my kids are involved in 4-H.
No,
And I
Yeah.
support 4-H and FFA and
I think it
the
should be
fair,
moved.
but that's what I hear. That's what I'm hearing.
No, you're not hearing it right. I
Okay.
think it's there because a bunch of schools graduate on that Friday based on a 5-day school week. Why can't we graduate on Thursday based on a 4-day school week? Why do we have to go that Friday? And why do staff have to come up that night? I agree, but I think all staff should be there.
Well, it's an in-service day. It's an in-service day. That Friday's. an
grads
in-service-
So they're here all day and then they stay until
and the
9
grads
o'clock at
have to
night.
have their practice walk, which does interrupt the day, and so if it's on a school day, then that means that no one can use the gym.
Nobody can use the gym.
There has to be.
There's a ton of logistics
Yeah,
to it.
yeah, that's why the Friday worked, because then it was, no kids were here, so the grads could come and do their walk, they could get decorations up, they had time.
To
Yeah.
set
To
up.
set up
and
and
everything
all this
else.
stuff. It's gonna conflict with a lot of things, because those are 2 busy weekends across the valley.
They are.
And fair was also on Thursday
Yeah.
night, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
on Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday night is still fair, because we check in Thursday morning, right?
I think about
Fair.
for fair.
Yeah, but there's no
So the
showmanship or no confirmation at Thursday night.
No,
Yeah.
Friday there's after the fact, but still competition wise across the board and.
Yeah, so how it's worked, so any FFA or 4-H kids involved in spring fair is they already know they're not gonna be there, so there's a consensus. It sucks, I'm not gonna lie, we are
Yeah.
literally like
We busted homes last
Yeah,
year.
I mean, it's like
Yeah, it's
calling, like
hard.
going 90 up the hill to try to get here on time, because there's just a lot that goes on down there.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be for any family that's in FFA and 4-H. So it's just, we just have to come.
Has the Fair Board considered the stress that puts on
That'd
families?
be a great conversation for you to bring up, Dave, to them.
Well, I will. Who's the contact that I should?
Absolutely, I will
talk to?
text you her name and number.
Okay, perfect. I'd love to have that conversation with her.
You can't put that.
Yeah, but-
Yes, I do.
Look, when we get the feedback from the staff and I bring that back to you guys can make the decision on what you want to do. And if
Yeah.
there's changes that you feel like that need to be made, then you have the power to do that.
I think that any day that the staff and students feel like that's where I think we need to ask is what's appropriate for the staff and
I
students.
just think Thursdays, I just think Thursday adds a whole other level of difficulty that we don't need at the school in that moment. And it would be difficult to overcome some of those things. I know because I was a principal at Hidden Valley and we had Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday graduations and we rotated every year. And do it with kids in school during the day was a nightmare. The only thing that saved us was the fact that we did it outside. So most of our decorations and that kind of stuff were down at the football field. It was never inside the gym. So that was one piece of it. But then also the academic time is a big deal because I try to give every kid benefit of the doubt and the most time that they can if they haven't finished what they need to do in order to walk. So,
So when you pull versions, would you ask that question, gauge the interest, not just outside the leadership team, but the body as a whole?
sure,
On what a Thursday graduation, how that would fall out, and be interesting to have the numbers.
sure can.
And as long as we keep it like even decent time in the evening, if we keep it on a Friday, like we cannot change the time. It has to stay where it's at. Like if for any fair kids involved, there's no way they could make it up here if we had it earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah, so as long as we
It's
maintain,
7,
it's like 7. I
it's
think.
at 7.
Yeah, so as long as we maintain that
It's,
time.
Can't really even make it later.
No, it's too late, you can't make it early, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it'd be interesting to see what kind of the staff as a whole,
Yeah.
possible Thursday. I
Yeah,
don't
we
want
can
to-
ask the question.
Well, we've always done it this way, I don't want to change it, well, we can change things if we need to.
Sure, yeah, I'll ask a question, see what they say, and I'll bring that back to you.
I think we could do the whole thing.
Yeah,
Any other questions for Mr. Stone? Do you have Mr. Ryan's principal's report, we're gonna skip over that?
no, you can skip it.
Okay, special projects.
Right, I have several things tonight. First of all, you should have gotten an electronic, an email invitation, but I made fun print for your ones for you too. So, yes, and Simon brought this up, we're gonna have National Honor Society here. It's pretty amazing.
Big deal.
It is a big deal. Thanks to Gear Up and Fawn continuing to drive it. It's been fantastic. And our big coup is,
Sorry.
the team wanted to invite Emily McIntyre and we got confirmation that she's gonna come and she's offered to speak.
Nice.
And because she's gonna be up here, she's considering, holding a town hall earlier in the day.
Oh, excellent.
Listening session. So that's an update with that. Garden grants are chugging along. We got invited again to apply for the spring grant with Jackson County Master Gardeners, which I think is a really nice compliment since we're just starting our relationship with them. So we will be able to fund both pieces that we needed for the garden outside of Christie's building. So that's pretty neat. I mean, assuming we get it, but they reached out to us, so that's kind of a good sign. Still no word on the farm to school grant. At the ODE level, they changed to a different department. They gave it to a guy who's never had it before and is super frustrated by the process, so it's gonna take as much time as it takes. Waiting to hear on that. In the meantime, Jesse Brownlee, who we're partnering with for the farm to school grant application, has already earned a different grant. And our homeschool kids and our outdoor club are going to be partnering with her to help record data for the research she's doing for agriculture practices that fit prospects specifically that look at dry farming and our soil types and that sort of thing, so that it benefits our kids, they're getting experiences, and then builds a knowledge base that we can apply for homesteads and farms here. It's kind of a neat project.
She's a neat person too.
She is. I absolutely love working with her. She's pretty amazing. Front Gardens on task. I include all of this because I'm really excited. I love this property. Like, besides loving the school, I love the physical property here and just seeing it get in, you know, all these new exciting things and the ways the kids are wrapping into it. And it's really valuable. As I mentioned, not one, but two ODE site visits in a week. First, we met with school safety. We have a draft of the emergency operation plan that we're gonna be taking the leadership and for a final review. Because our partnership with that department is so strong, they are continuing to work with us, and they're developing templates for supplemental materials that they can use with other school districts and using us to design those. That's been pretty neat. We are waiting on their report. They said some basic things that don't cost money, that just have to do with training, and have offered, even when I wrap everything up for this year, offering to partner with us going forward and doing further training so that we can have the best safety environment we possibly can. And that the next day was the Stronger Connection grant. That is the grant that pays for our doubling our counselor, doubling our skills trainer, and pays my salary. And they wanted to come out and see how we were using the money. I can tell you, we knocked it out of the park. And that's mostly because Greg Simmons, Elsa, and Kate are amazing human beings. They really are. We didn't have a choice on what day, and they picked the day that Elsa was out of town getting married. You know? And I emailed, we need to do all these things, and she's like, no. Kate came in on her day off, designed a vibrant lesson with a specific group, was professional, personal, worked with the ODE team and did fantastic work. Greg Simmons took this so seriously that he was ready to bury them with data and paperwork, and sent me multiple drafts and wanted to make sure everything was okay. I'm like, it's not an audit. We're okay. You know, it's just a meet and greet. We're good. And that left the attendance committee in the afternoon. Janet and Greg and I sat down with them and laid out what we've been doing. We got to say that, you know, we're partnering with Gear Up and SOESD, that we're wrapping in the new counselor that's really exciting, a new substance use counselor volunteered to start attending our Thursday morning meetings, where we talk about attendance and we talk about the Student Success Center. So that's really cool. We talked about some of our data management and our philosophy. I think I mentioned before that, like, in a 3-tier, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 approach to it. We got to share that our tier 1 approach is that we should have programs where kids want to come to school. And we held up our new enrichment as our example of that. And that's been really successful as a way to make connection, and that kids do come to school on those days. We talked about our tier 2 involving listening sessions with the students, and that we have a new thing we're going to roll out here shortly, which is goes out to all of the staff to say, you know, all kids' names are listed. And you have 3 choices, you know, I know this kid's name, I know this kid's story, I've called this kid's parents. And we're gonna look for where are the gaps? Is there a kid we're not connecting with? And then we're also gonna have that, so if Greg Simmons says, hey, this kid's in crisis, who do we know that already has a relationship? And then it was really neat to listen to Greg talk about the work he's doing with our tier 3, where he's meeting with kids one-on-one and saying, here's where we're at. Here's where I need you. You can't jump that high in one go. What's our next step? What's our next step? What's our next step? And really making progress that way. And then continuing to partner with community resources to look for ways to remove barriers. The best part about all of this is when we got all done, the ODE team said, we're really impressed with what you're doing with attendance and we'd like to participate in this quarterly meeting. So that was quite a compliment.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was really nice. It feels good to be recognized for the work that's happening here. Otherwise on my to-do list, we're still trying to do the family engagement survey. Problem is, so all of the teachers have participated, the students have participated, everything's in place, we can't get families to respond. At the very least, several of you on the board are families. So I'm gonna hand you a survey. You did yours? I did not. Like, did yours? Have you had one? I got you now.
Well, she needs four, so you both need to do one.
That's right. Yeah.
We have, I might not have done that one. I did the other one, the one that we got emailed.
It's probably the same thing.
Okay.
It's
It
just
was
that-
electronic
Mhm.
version.
Yeah, there was an electronic version.
Fill it out twice, wouldn't hurt you.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
And then they're gonna sit down and go over and make recommendations for ways for us to continue to be a welcoming environment. Kind of build on what we're doing. Boy, other than that, and I didn't stop for questions. I should have paused. I got a couple more things. Any questions for me so far? Okay. I did some really great networking opportunities this month. I went to the Southern Oregon Success Networking event in Medford. I'm continuing to build relationships with Jackie from Jackson Care Connect. I have some real potential for some really neat things, but I haven't nailed it down yet, so I don't ask me next month. But I think we're gonna really continue to build with the carnival and people's access to services. And just continue to build with our relationship with her. And then through that, I got invited to join a family engagement committee for the region and not just here. So that we can get feedback from, kind of take the temperature of what families want around the conference. The ODE is trying to make grant reporting easier. They wanted simple drop-down menus instead of a 5-paragraph essay this time. I'll take what I can get. PD is all planned for the rest of the year. We brought in some really great PD partners through SOESD. They're working on us with academics and with kind of classroom culture and behavior. Good stuff. And then just, reflecting all of that. Grant ends June 30, my contract will be done. So with my last few months, I'm gonna focus on things that I can either wrap up in those 3 or 4 months, or that I believe the school has capacity to continue with once I'm gone. I'm thinking of ways of locking myself in my office and refusing to leave. I am really happy here. If I thought it were a better grant environment out there, I'd be knocking on every door, but every agency I talk to, it's like, no, we're making cuts, there's no extra funding. Figure your work. And certainly in the future, I love it up here and I will be looking for opportunities to return.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, be nice to be able to find another grant.
Yeah.
I won't give up till June 30, but yeah, it's not looking good so far.
Okay, 4.4 is here.
Financial, everything was in your packets, January 31st. Right now, revenues are pretty quiet. February should result some more local and intermediate with second payment for those that split their property taxes. Other than that, expenditures were expected. Salaries and benefits were lower. We had a very short pay period with the winter break. So salaries and benefits for classified was low. Next month will be increased because we have a 5-week pay period. Purchase services jumped a little bit. Because you'll see in the payables listing, we had some large contract payments with the SD that went out. And then supplies, there was a lot of maintenance, grounds, custodial things purchased, that was done over winter break. We had some uniforms, almost 5,000. So that bumped our supplies up, kind of increased month over month, for right now. Day touched on the revenue forecast, so I'm not gonna do that. He touched on budget, so that process is kicked off. The E-rate RFP got posted last Thursday. So it'll be posted for 30 days and then we'll evaluate bids and put out award letters. Sorry, I don't remember everything.
I
Share
need a new laptop or y'all talk.
Because we got expenditures. And the other thing, so I've been on meetings and coordination and we signed a contract to move forward with Tyler Tech, which hosts our business system. And so that will be migrating to the cloud. That will happen before fiscal year end, hopefully spring break time. Still to be determined. So there'll be training, there'll be different things there. For staff to go to the work with that system. And then we're in the second round with ODE, kind of reviewing chart of accounts for next year, which will be a whole new budget format with accounting codes and new reporting. So still to be finalized. They have taken a lot of input and have a new draft, and they're doing another reporting period. Lots of changes to come for July 1st, 2027.
Nice. If we change our tech system, does that change our logins of how we can do our business? When we get into our systems, or is it just behind the scenes?
No, it's just the vision, it's the Infinite Visions program. And so before ESD hosted and managed, and Tyler Tech is moving to it's moving to just a cloud platform. Security wise, different things. It wasn't something ESD looked to do. It's just how the platform's changing with the software. So they'll manage all upgrades, everything will be direct through them.
Cool. And then on the financial report, there's an asterisk next to balance in general fund. I don't recognize the asterisk being there before. Is that?
So just down below, it's adjusted for PERS payroll liability.
Oh,
So,
there it is. Okay.
so
I'm trying to look at the footnote. I didn't see it.
thank you. So after payroll, I had to
It's a
run
little.
another payroll, and PERS was already closed out for the month. So it won't actually post until February. The draw funds for that PERS was out.
Any questions? Mr. Williams, you have a question?
No, I'm fine. You guys still there? There you are. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
It's not a good mix, but.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
I got pulled over on one.
Hey, thank you. Sorry to be a pain.
No, you're fine. Okay, after the break, we lost the Zoom. We're back recording again and continuing on. Any other questions from the financial reports?
I have none.
Okay, hearing none, informational personnel report, Mr. Sterling.
Let's see here, what are we on? The information personnel report, okay, all right.
Smoking on the school grounds when we smoking on.
I wasn't gonna bring that up. Hey, just, I wanna let you know, we rehired, we rolled over some coaches, Keith, middle school football, Amanda Wetzel, high school volleyball assistant, Marcia Capello, middle school, basketball or volleyball assistant, and then we hired Julie Whipple, our assistant custodian. Do any of you guys know Julie? She's a rock star, and so you want to come around in an evening and you want to see some cleaning going on and some grunting and sweating and working their tail off. She's amazing. And so we're excited about her. Yeah, and then we terminated a couple of names from our sub list because every time we'd call them, we couldn't get them. And that was Tawny James and Holly Gordon. They were ed assistant people that were on our list, and we're trying to clean that up a little bit because Sherry, has to make up 377 W-2s every year, because when people will come in and they say they want to be hired on the sub, and then we pay them to do their log on and all the stuff to get ready, and then all of a sudden they flake and they never come in for another day. And
How
so
many subs do we have that consistently come up and help?
classified, one, maybe two. Oh, two. We got two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And they're almost full-time people.
pretty much.
Yeah, one of them is here every day, but
Yeah, pretty much. And then we've got resignations from Zyler Maletic, assistant football, high school football, and Sean Myers, our high school football coach. And so we'll be flying those positions shortly.
Oh, good.
So that's what I have, Mr. Chair. Any questions?
Coach,
Right, I was gonna say, I think Josh and Spencer should do that. Assistant coach.
right? Get him on the dip floor, get him on the coach, keep that man busy.
Comprehensive plan report, or any questions on that? No questions on personnel reports, comprehensive plan report.
Okay, just kind of wanted to kind of bring you up to speed on our last meeting that we had. And the last meeting covered 3 areas that has to do with enriching our facilities, school safety, systems of maintenance, and financial planning around facilities. And so the goals that we came up with around school safety are 2 goals. During the 25-27 biennium, 100% of safety systems within the Prospect School District that pertain to the safety of students, staff, and facilities will be developed and evaluated accordingly by the district safety committee through a needs assessment. So we'll do a needs assessment and start creating lists of safety systems, things that, and Regina's already headed that up. We had the ODE safety team here. We're going to get a report from them. That's going to be essentially a needs assessment that we're going to take a look at. She's working on updating our EOP, our emergency operation procedures, and we're going to take their information towards trying to make sure that all of our safety systems are put in place based on a needs assessment. And then the second goal during the 25-27 biennium, professional development that pertains to 100% of the safety systems will be scheduled and intentional with all safety protocols. So our lockdown drills, our fire drills, when we have we're having conversations about where should the reunification area be? Should it be at our gym? Should it be at the church across the street? Should it be at the store? When we, if we ever have, a situation on campus where we have the triage, where's the triage area? Just reviewing all of those protocols with our safety systems. We also have a software program that is called E3. And are we effectively utilizing that system or not? And then what professional development do we need to bring everybody up to speed on it? So those were the two goals that we came up with out of the committee for school safety.
On school safety, have we thought about partnering with ODOT for reunification? It's a secure facility that's fenced and access control and stuff.
We have not. That's actually not a bad idea. The one of the concerns is that it needs to be within walking distance for reunification because and when walk, I mean, you're not going to put kids on a bus and then ship them, down to the ODOT facility. And when you move kids by foot, you lose kids. And so when you're crossing a main highway and you go past the church and you go past, you're walking down the main street to get to a secure spot for reunification, creates some concerns about losing kids. If we made the reunification space, if it wasn't, if we didn't have an issue at the large gym, it makes sense to have it there because we can walk there and we can securely keep them away from the public to do so from our buildings. There's turnarounds for buses. There's a large enough facility to house our entire school. It can be fairly secure. We can lock it down. So those are some of the things that have to be talked about with the safety committee, for sure. Yeah. The second one was systems of maintenance, and the first goal that we had there was during the 25-27 biennium, the Prospect School District will develop facility short-term plans that are defined by 1 year and long-term plans that are defined by 3 and 5 year priority lists that include ADA compliance, insurance audits, and safety needs that prioritize student and staff needs. So essentially creating lists of maintenance items that are linked to systems of maintenance, whether it's, something as simple as cleaning the filters of the mini splits in the quad buildings to a system of maintenance, knowing that we have to clean off the roof of the NPR once a month because the gutters get full up there and then they leak. And then it creates ice situations when it's freezing in the wintertime. Taking a look at ADA compliance with bathrooms and restrooms. So those are all systems of maintenance that have to be reviewed and prioritized based on a 1, 3, and 5 year plan. And then the second goal we come up with there is annually during the 25-27 biennium. So each year of the biennium, school administration will develop and present a state of schools report for the Prospect School District School Board concerning the state of safety during the May board meeting each year. So as we go around school safety, making it a priority with our board, making it a priority as a school by presenting on, hey, what are we doing for systems, and give you an update on the maintenance projects that are going on the list so that you guys are abreast of that so we can prepare budgets and those kinds of things. This year is going to be probably too late for the budget cycle, but next year, if you have this stuff in May, then we can plan for it and have further conversations that the next budget cycle, we can start to put some things in place based on priorities. And then the third piece of enriching facilities is financial planning. And the first goal that we came up with is during the 25-27 biennium, the Prospect School District will follow and prioritize facility short-term plans that are defined by 1 year and long-term plans that are defined by 3 and 5 year lists that are linked to the school district's budget process each year. So then we take those priority lists and we start to drill down and report to the board, look, these are the priorities based on what we need to tackle and how much money it's going to cost. And then you guys are abreast of what's going on with the direction the district's going with facilities. And then the second goal was during the 25-27 biennium, the Prospect School District will plan and address a savings funding plan to purchase new district storage facilities or repair the bus barn as depicted through the school district budget process. And so either purchase another building, repair the current building, and create some kind of savings plan or some kind of budgetary plan to address that over several years so that it doesn't take a huge chunk out of our deal to address that, because at some point that's going to be an issue for our district. And if we don't have our eyes open to fixing it now and doing something about it, it could cost us big time down the line. And so let's be proactive about it. And that was one of the goals. And I wanted to share with you a little bit about maintenance and facilities. Statewide maintenance, when they went around and they did all the statewide the maintenance needs of all school districts, the whole state funded this, and every school district got this. Came up with $90 billion of deferred maintenance projects. 90 billion with a B. Okay. So the state recommends that approximately 7% across the state, all districts average 7% of their annual budget was directed at facilities, whether it was not just, it was management, and it was also materials and services, everything under the maintenance budget process. 7% of your annual budget was targeted towards maintenance. That's a statewide average. Every school district averaged 7%. So if we were to just take that 7% and we applied it to what we had for students and what our ADMW is, that would be approximately $3,142 per student on maintenance. Okay. In times 220 students is about $691,240. $691,240 approximately. That's what the state says you should be spending on maintenance. Currently, right now, $691,000. I just want to share this with you. Because of the conservative approach that we've taken, we spend about $524,910 on maintenance. So we are, compared to other districts in the state, we are spending somewhere around $160,000 less per student overall with our budget, the percentage of our budget. So when we break down that 7%, 4% of it should be capital investments and 3% should be operations and maintenance. And so as we build this through the comprehensive plan and we start talking about the list of everything that's in there and the costs, we need to keep that 7% dollar mind in our mind and talk about operations and capital investments. And we have a need for capital investment. We all know what that is. We got to do something with our bus barn. Let's long-term plan and figure out a way that it doesn't kill us to save some dollars. And maybe over multiple years, we can eventually at some point address that need. And hopefully between then and now, we don't have a disaster. But we've got to mitigate that risk as well in the conversations. So anyhow, that's where
that's 700 or that dollar amount you mentioned, 700,000. That was what
691. Yeah,
691. Our overall budget, 10% of it is 648. That's 10%, and you're looking at 7.
So it includes that number included all the federal grants and everything else. I could be off on that. I don't know.
The total budget for us, total budget is $6,485,000. 10% of that would be 648,000.
So I took 7% of 10 grand per kid. That's where I came up with that number.
Either way, you're only 50 grand off your way.
Yeah, either way, yeah, I'm off 50 grand, so
In millions, that's close.
yeah.
Sorry,
So
don't have a stroke.
it's just some raw numbers.
Okay,
I
I was
think
just,
the point is that we are saving the district money in maintenance right now over what what other districts across the country or across the state are spending. And when they look at the 7%, they have the belief that districts should be budgeting about 4% capital investment and 3% in maintenance, the operations of maintenance. So really hard to apply a bell curve to a school district that has a $6 million budget and 220 kids. But in an attempt to do that, it gives you some idea where we're at with spending. And I think we've done a lot with maintenance. I mean, think about it. We've done a ton. I mean, we have new roofs on all of our buildings, including the NPR, the big gym. We have a paved parking lot. We have there's been a ton that we have done. Generators, yep, there's been a ton. So we're sitting pretty well, actually, to be honest with you, with the current facilities we have. Yes, there are some capital projects we need to address. I wish we had more classroom space, more storage space. The big thing that's looming out there that's the next big project, as we know, is that bus barn. And what are we going to do? Whether it's tear it down, buy the facility across the street, tear it down and rebuild it or repair what we have. But the worst thing that could possibly happen is if the insurance PACE came in and said that building's condemned and we have no other backup plan and we're stuck holding the bag and we didn't proactively budget for saving some dollars to be able to address it. I'll give you an example. One of the things that Days Creek is doing, and I went to their state of the school evening the other night, and one of the things that through four different superintendents, their board has consistently saved $50,000 to $75,000 a year towards a construction excise account to help with they need a multi-purpose room that doubles as a gym like our NPR building does. And now they have $1.8 million in that fund. And they've saved on it for 8 or 9, 10 years. And they've had 4 superintendents during that time. And the board has stayed consistent with saving some dollars. Now they're at a place where they have enough money that they can afford a yearly payment on it. And they've got enough money in that account that they're planning on building in a multi-purpose room. And they couldn't do it if they had been, reactive and didn't put money away.
What's our maintenance budget again?
Say that again?
What number did you say for our maintenance budget?
It's 500 and for everything it's about approximately 524,000.
524 is what we spent.
Yeah.
7%.
Yeah.
Because the 7% I see comes out to 453, so we're actually budgeting more.
Of the total amount of money.
Yeah, if our budget is 6,485,000, 7% of that is 453,000.
Well, I just gave you some rough numbers, and I took the numbers not off of our total budget. I took it off of the number of kids and the kids being 10 grand. ADM. That's why that number is elevated. That's why that number is elevated.
plus that number that calculates that much maintenance, the $2 million or $2 billion. You got to realize that 1 billion of that would be one gymnasium at North Medford.
Yeah.
We survived more than a year. Natalie Simon is our reps on the comprehensive planning. Anything else you have to add?
No, I was in attendance at the meeting that I went to, and exactly what they just said, we actually talked about and discussed potentially with that savings plan. So I think more to come on that, but overall, I do believe that would be a great thing to look forward to.
Cool.
And as we're entering this budget cycle, it might be something to consider.
Any other questions on that? Okay, 4.7, we did under teacher input, we went 5.1, wrestling facilities. This is kind of the standing budget.
Yeah, nothing new. I did talk to Corey today. Architect is actively working on the plans. I think we have about, what do we have, Jess? About $2,500 that's been fundraised to this point, I think, something like that. So, it's just gonna take some time, but we're working on it. I talked to Melissa from who does she represent? Gal that's the grant writer that she wrote the grant for next door to Fire Hall. She helps with archery. She helped with Zach and archery Taylor. Yeah, Taylor. Yeah, I talked to her and she's interested in helping try to write a grant to help with the wrestling facilities and the archery need. There's some conversation with the archery group that they might just do build their own 80 by 20 like box and encase it and run a light to it and put some astroturf down in the bottom of it, and then they've got a facility where they could shoot anytime and it doesn't have any conflict with anybody, and that they think that they could do that for about somewhere between $7,000 and $8,000 with the in-kind people. We'd put it over there somewhere around the gym, over back behind the football field, area off to the side. But then that way archery doesn't have to compete with anything else.
Could they do it where the softball field is?
Yeah, potentially off to the side of it.
We're not
Yeah.
doing softball.
Well, I don't think we'd want to put it in the middle of the softball field, but there's plenty of ground
There's
over
lots of
there.
space behind that.
There is lots of space.
Yeah.
So, Melissa's looking at some options, and there's a couple of foundations that are actually public foundations that she wrote grants for that have helped a bunch of different agencies, and they're government agencies, and they'll fund funding even for government agencies. So I connected Zach with her. They're getting together. She's drumming up what she can find to see if we can raise some money to handle the archery piece of it on one hand, and then the other piece of it is to help support wrestling also.
Nice.
Okay, any other questions? 5.2, policy update, second reading of policy DJ. I did see in there the paragraph we talked about, where the superintendent designee is authorized to enter and approve payments on contracts and blind district funds not to exceed current budget appropriations. So, that's how we wanted it last go around, so there is a motion and a second.
A motion to approve it.
A motion by Natalie, second by Debbie. Any questions on it? Okay, we'll start with Ms. Williams.
Yeah.
Ms. Baker,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
I vote yes, and Mr. Rose.
Yes.
Jerry, thank you for identifying that and bringing it to us, so hopefully this brings up stuff for you. Budget committee openings, we still have the open position. We do have an applicant through the equity committee that will appoint here soon. And then with that 6.1 admin contracts, each year we have to negotiate with the superintendent on what contracts look like and stuff. Most of the time it's two of us that do it. That way it doesn't require a quorum, and then those two report back to the main board, and then we have our debate and everything else with it. So this cycle, I would like to appoint Ray and Natalie to do those. Do either one of you mind?
I will be glad to.
Okay. And that will be your admin team over the next month. We'll get together with Mr. Stone and organize that out. 6.2.
What a big raise, Ray.
Now with the
Yeah,
10%.
because we can't, because that money's gonna go into the maintenance pool.
Good. Good.
And then moving on to 6.2 type 20 buses.
Oh, boy. Okay, so we had transportation audit spent from ODE, spent a bunch of time down at First Student. Went through all of their processes as a contract service. And then our little piece that was part of that audit was they needed to come up and look at how we were managing our type 20 buses. our activity buses, because we own them. And so what they found is as they went through the audit, they found some little things like stickers on windows that needed to be replaced, and a gate hatch on the back that didn't work when the key was on. Stuff that could be fixed, that was little things. But one of the big things is in 2005 or 2015, I can't remember what year it was, the state of Oregon in activity buses had they passed a rule or a law, I'm not sure which, that states that type 20 buses or any activity bus either has a shoulder belt on it or no belt at all. And what they were finding is that if you had a lap belt and you got in an accident, there were more head and neck injuries holding the kids in with a lap belt, slamming their head on the front seat. If they didn't have a lap belt, then the theory is that kids wouldn't become as hurt. Or if a shoulder belt, of course you're strapped in. So what the auditor did from ODE was ground our buses and said, look, the manufacturer produced these buses with this safety equipment in it, and it has to go to the manufacturer to have them removed. We can't just go in there with a ratchet and in 30 minutes remove the belts and then be compliant. Go figure, bureaucracy, right? So I started calling to the manufacturers. Well, Starcraft, the manufacturer that built those buses, sold out to a new company called Forest River. And Forest River has two dealerships, one in Washington up by Tacoma, and one called Ideal Commercial Vehicles out of Canby. And they now deal essentially the Starcraft version under the new name, which is Forest River. So I called them to say, hey, look, we need these belts removed from these buses so that we can become ungrounded. And neither of them are willing to remove the seat belts. And because they say that the liability of doing so, the manufacturer said that those buses were equipped from the manufacturer, from the company. Now the company no longer exists, even though they do, just under a new name. And so they refused to do anything. So the auditor got a hold of him. He got me connected with a guy over in Grants Pass that buys buses all the time out of state, and they bring them here and they make them compliant. There's a little bit of saving grace. We didn't realize when we bought those Type 20s that you have to register them with ODE. There's a one-page form that registers with them. So they've never been registered with ODE. They've been registered with the DMV, but not with the Oregon Department of Ed. So the more I dug, the more I found out that, well, this guy over in Grants Pass, they remove stuff all the time from their buses. And there's no liability. You have insurance on the vehicle. You meet the state specs. So why is ODE grounding us on this whole deal? I'm meeting with him tomorrow again, the auditor, and I shared with them what Jeremy had shared with me from D7 over in Grants Pass, and he said it has to be a manufacturer that takes them out. So Jeremy is trying to find, he said, according to Jeremy said that we can take it to any mechanic and have it done. And then you resubmit the paperwork to ODE, because those are coaches that were built from a third-party vendor. It's not like it's a factory. Starcraft was not a factory. They manufactured the chassis, but not the finish work. The finish work was done by a third-party vendor. And it was never licensed in the state of Oregon having that safety equipment, because we never registered it with ODE. Mm-hmm. So I'm digging further. I'm trying to figure out how we're going to do this. We're looking at some other options so we have information, like what if we traded them off and we bought one? Could we get by with one? if we bought one that was up to snuff versus if we, tried to repair the safety belts. But before next month, I promise you, I will have something going and we're gonna figure this out.
There must
So
be so much getting those buses.
I know. It's crazy.
Right?
All over a lap belt.
Years.
I mean, isn't that ridiculous? All over a lap belt.
I think it's a
Yeah.
prospect permitting system, you see that locked one night, who knows that?
Yeah, what happens?
I don't know, they're just not there anymore.
It's the only thing I know.
You gotta find us, so like, come on.
Yeah,
We don't know what happened.
don't know.
They cut our gas lines and solar. It is what it is.
So anyhow, I just wanted to be transparent with you and let you know that that's what we're up against right now.
Probably good.
And you said you're not sure if it's a rule or a law.
It's a law, actually. Yeah. It was a
You
rule that
can't
was,
have the seatbelts.
you can't, you can't you either have to have a lap belt that goes with the shoulder belt together or no belt at all. You can't have just a lap belt.
Which is funny, because when I did the type 20 training, they made sure that you tell every kid they have to wear a lap belt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it became a deal
Kind of
that.
bummer you can't just, yeah, they just can't.
With first student.
With first student. first
Have
student
you-
did the training.
Well, also the fact that your student did it.
Yeah, that-
Yeah.
well, because they told us you have to wear them, so
Yeah.
they didn't know.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't, and they didn't catch it on the annual review.
Yeah.
Which is an issue.
Yeah.
So they're reviewing our vehicles and making sure they're inspected every year, and they didn't even get it. So.
Very cool, thank you for that. 6.3, the March board meeting, Mr. Stone will be out of town at a school visit.
Yep.
Right, on the 10th, so he's hoping to move the board meeting to the 9th, that Monday.
So Monday instead of Tuesday.
But March is a very important board meeting because we do all the renewals and non-renewals and contracts, and so it's very important that Mr. Stone is here for that meeting.
So are we still gonna do the executive session at 5 on the 9th and the school board on 6?
No, we'll do
No,
everything.
do
on the
everything
9th.
on the 9th.
Oh, that's what I meant. I don't know, what did I just say?
That's what you said.
You said we'd have this.
Okay.
5 o'clock on the 9th.
5 o'clock on
Instead
the
of on
9th.
the 10th, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just do both meetings on the 9th.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's the day after daylight savings.
I know, I'm sorry.
It's Mr. Stone's fault.
Oh, that's okay. We spring.
Is that-
Spring forward though.
Is that doable to change in a day?
Fall back.
Yes, with
Yeah,
me.
To Wednesday, because we have to have it done by the 15th.
Oh,
Yeah,
we can, he's gone Wednesday.
I'm
He's
gone.
gone Tuesday,
No,
Wednesday,
right,
Thursday.
That's what I had to do, yeah.
That's
It's
what
his
we
fault.
said
Monday's fine by me. It's better for me.
Yeah, I got Monday on there, that's good.
So in order to adjust the calendar, is there a motion to move our meeting to the 9th?
It starts at 5, right?
I'll second.
Simon and Natalie made a motion in second. Any questions or debate on it? This time we'll start with Ms. Baker.
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes,
I vote yes. Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
It just started at 5.
Okay, 6.4, the Budget Committee, the Equity Committee. Simon, Mr. Bryant submitted their nomination for Ms. Rude. Right? Rude,
Yep.
to be their representative on the Budget Committee. I'm assuming she's accepted.
yep. She came to leadership and then which is part of the equity committee and there was agreement to appoint her from the equity committee.
So we will, is there a motion to appoint her to position number 4 on the Budget Committee?
Motion to appoint her.
Motions are second,
A second.
any seconds, questions or debate? We'll start with Mr. Williams.
yes,
I vote yes. Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Mhm.
Ms. Baker?
Yes.
And last but not least, we have the local service plan. Mr.
Yeah, so in the email that we sent in the board packet that we added there, has the local service plan from the ESD. We don't really have any control over the LSP. We do have a menu of items that we'll pick from once we decide what we need for next year. That's from the local service plan. But as written, we just need to have a motion to accept it from the ESD.
6.5, any questions on that? If not, is there a motion? And this is
so
just,
moved.
what's your cover? Okay, is there a second?
Go ahead.
Okay, one
Oh,
second.
you-
Simon, okay, this motion is second. Any questions or debate on this? Okay, then I will start with a yes. Mr. Rose? Yes. Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Baker? Mr. Williams?
Yes,
Okay, and there's a whole list of upcoming dates. Important one is this Friday is. I know it says the 12th, but it's the 13th for both the boys and girls, to play.
Both is the middle school, that's why it says.
Oh, that's why it says. Okay.
It just says high school basketball senior night, because it's
Oh,
both,
okay.
it starts at 5:30.
So the 13th senior night, very important, come on out, put fans in stand, then there's the district convention and all the other stuff that's happening. Towards the end of the month.
Archery's on the 21st.
Yeah, he just got me a schedule today.
Yeah, and that's our first tournament here.
Yeah,
So
we're
it's.
hosting a
and it's-
tournament?
Yeah, we're hosting one.
We're
Yeah.
hosting, yeah, it's our very
Yeah.
first hosting tournament.
Yeah.
It's a 3D one, so
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
Yeah.
We
Where are
need
they
to
doing
get,
that?
it's here at the, in the gym.
In the big gym.
Yeah, we need to get people there. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be fun.
Awesome.
21st, you said.
February 21st, yep. And I think we start at 9 AM because the archers have to be there at 7:38, so, yeah, so the tournament will start at 9 AM.
here's food for thought for someone. Every year we have someone that goes down and attends the ESD's budget committee. I think Regina did it last year. I've done it multiple years prior to that. We might be wanting to think about somebody that would be interested in going down there and attend that meeting.
I think that's a great for you to continue, Mr. Williams. With that, thank you. And so you can't decline, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Oh, wait, God.
Well, it's just food for thought, somebody.
Somebody said, he said,
I could
somebody
go
like
again
Josh.
this year.
I appreciate
I
it.
just need to know the date.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Oh, shit.
Okay, have a good
Or if it
evening.
has, I haven't seen
You
it.
too.
Bye.